Call this meeting to order, the special meeting of the Emeryville City Council. The time is 5:40. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Councilmember Pats?
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Here.
And Mayor Bowders.
Here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. I'll take a motion for approval of the final agenda.
So moved.
Second.
A motion for Member Martinez and a second for Member Pats. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Public comment for items not on the agenda. We will have an opportunity to public comment after we have introduced our resolution. So if you have an item other than that you wish to speak on this evening, you may step to the podium. Seeing none, special orders of the day. I would like to invite my colleagues from the City Council to join me in the audience. And in a moment, I will invite the choir to join us up front. Well, I want to begin by thanking everyone for being here today for this special meeting of the Emeryville City Council. Very pleased on behalf of my colleagues from the City Council to have this opportunity to celebrate Black History Month as a very important celebration for our community, as it should be for all communities across the United States. And we're going to honor and recognize a number of people in our community this evening, but before we do that, we're going to be graced with some amazing music. And I would like at this time to introduce Reverend Mark Wilson. And Reverend Mark is a friend of mine. He is also the choir director. Come on up here. He's also the choir director at St. Columba's Catholic Church over on San Pablo. And Reverend, I believe, is going to provide a little context for the music this evening, and we're going to begin with the choir. I'll turn it over.
Let's put your hands together. In celebration of African American History Month, when I was a kid, it used to be African American History Week. You know, they gave us a week, but now we got a month. You know, look out, we're going to take over the years soon. And congratulate the mayor of the city for putting this program together, Mayor Bowers. I'm told that the way this program came together was a very organic process where one morning the mayor of the city arrived at the parish house of our pastor, Father Aiden. He told the story on Sunday. I won't say everything he said in the story, but he said he arrived in his sweats and knocked on the door and said, "Hi, I'm the mayor of Emeryville." And Father responded, "Yeah, right. I'm the mayor of Oakland." You know, and but then I got a text message after their conversation to call the mayor of Emeryville that he wanted to have a African American History Month program, and beyond that, he wanted to hang the Pan-African flag. And I was like, huh? This brave mayor is going to declare black nationalism, black separatism, black liberation in Emeryville? My, help him, Lord. Help him, Jesus. But this is a wonderful time for us to come together. Pride, we're going to share some music because music is just more than entertainment among African Americans and among many people throughout the world. Music is life. Music is a spirit that gives us energy and brings us together. Music is the pulse that keeps us keeping on, particularly when the structures around us and around anyone would be oppressive. Music unites everybody. And so we're going to open up with a first song, a gathering song, that really comes out the civil rights period, but it's connected to some of the historical spirituals in the African American community. Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around. The tradition of this song, though it goes back to the spirituals, in protest, the song was used. The verses are created on the spot, depending on what the time period is. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. And then we put in verses depending on what the struggle is. And during the civil rights time, they sang about discrimination and racism. During anti-apartheid movement, when we would sing it, it was, say, you call the president's name of South Africa, I ain't going to let him turn me around, or I ain't going to let apartheid turn me around. And so we're going to sing the song. We'll see what verses come up here. But now also the song is repetitious. It sings over and over and over and over. And the role of repetition in music is about bringing the community together. It's not that we're just singing it together. It's because you want to get everybody singing, but there's always that one person who's sitting there like, and we just like got to keep on singing and singing and singing until they're like, and they break down. They're like, yeah, okay, I'm part of the community, you know. So if you're not part of the community, if you don't get there, fake it, okay, and that'll bring us to the end of the song. You know, you're gonna have to be part of the community. And so this is gonna be a gathering song. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. And I'd like to just thank these wonderful members of St. Columba Choir for coming out. Some of them just came from work and came right to this place. Give them a round of applause. And if you pick up on the refrain, join in. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Oh, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom. Yeah, ain't gonna let nobody turn me talking, marching up the freedom land. Oh, ain't gonna let racism turn me around, turn me around. Oh, ain't gonna let racism turn me around. Keep on marching, keep on walking, keep on marching up the freedom land. Oh, ain't gonna let white nationalism turn me around. Turn me on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom. Oh, ain't gonna let anti-immigration laws turn me around. Oh, ain't gonna let anti-discrimination laws turn me around. Keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom. The number 45 turn me around, turn me around. Let the number 45 turn me around. Keep on marching, keep on talking, marching up the freedom. Yeah, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody keep on walking, keep on talking, 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 marching up to freedom.
Assemblymember Thurmond, my friend, we are at your part in the agenda. Would you like to join us?
I'd rather not follow that.
You'd rather not follow that act? We're gonna let you have a pass then, unless you're ready to go.
I will be obedient.
Oh, well, this is a request, not a demand. I would like to introduce the Assembly Member for the 15th Assembly District of California, who represents all of us here in Emeryville, Assemblymember Tony Thurmond. We have the privilege of being represented in this community by great African American leaders, our County Supervisor, Keith Carson, our Assemblymember Tony Thurmond, our Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and our Federal Senator Kamala Harris. There's a long tradition in this community of lifting up black leadership, and I'm very humbled and grateful to introduce Assemblymember Thurmond here today, who will give us some remarks on the importance of Black History Month. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Was that St. Columba? Yes. Let's give them another round of applause for that wonderful rendition, reminding us to keep on marching, to keep on walking, and we will be victorious together. We've come a mighty long way, haven't we? We've come a mighty long way. Can I get an amen? We having church up in here. But we still have a mighty long way to go. Let us celebrate the victories that have occurred, but let us keep it in perspective. We have a mighty long way to go, and we must do the hard work together. It's a great honor to be here tonight. Thank you for having me here in the city of Emeryville, a great regional city for our community, an important part of the 15th Assembly District, an important part for my family. We're here every week learning how to do gymnastics and other kinds of things in this great city. It is a pleasure to come all the way from our state capital to be with you tonight in celebration of Black History Month. Thank you for taking the time to honor African Americans and the contributions and the sacrifices that have gotten us to this place. In the Capitol, we've had the great privilege to celebrate the birthday and the contributions of great Americans like Rosa Parks. As I said to the young people who I read to this morning in the African American Literacy Program, Rosa Parks didn't sit down on the bus because she was tired. She kept her seat because she was tired of racism. She was tired of being told that you can pay for a seat but be treated like a second-class citizen. And so it's been a wonderful experience of celebrating Rosa Parks and the contributions of so many. Dr. King, we just celebrated regionally an amazing experience of Dr. Martin Luther King and so many great things. But we must continue the work, and we must continue the fight and the struggle. I come before you as someone who is the descendant of slaves from Africa, who made their way to Mississippi and to Detroit, Michigan, and immigrants from Panama and Colombia and Jamaica. You see, the diaspora for Africans is very, very broad. And so it is a pleasure for me to stand before you as someone who comes from very humble beginnings. Raised by an immigrant mom who lost her battle to cancer when I was 6 years old. Son to a Vietnam veteran who struggled with post-traumatic stress disorder after the war and was not able to reconnect with our family. I met my father 10 years ago and I found him on the internet. And so when you think about the impacts of racism and poverty on our families, and we struggled. In my family, we were on every form of public assistance that you can think of. I hated to admit it. I was on the free lunch program. I didn't want anybody to know. I later found out that everybody in my school was on the free lunch program. I don't know what it was I was hiding from. I was embarrassed when I went to the store to buy something with food stamp coupon. I found out as an adult, everybody in my neighborhood was on public assistance. Yes. And we often ate government cheese. We ate so much government cheese, I thought that USDA was a brand name, I'll tell you. But it helped our family to sustain, and it helped us to overcome. And you might say, why is he telling us all this? Because I think about it every single day. For a kid who came from a disadvantaged start, it would have been easy to end up in California State Prison. Instead, I ended up in the California State Assembly. Let's do that for all African Americans, for all people. Let's create those same opportunities. We know as we talk about Black History Month, we have to talk about disparities of a criminal justice system that just wants to take in African American children and Latino children and kids from low income backgrounds. We have to change that narrative by making sure that every single young person gets a great start, an early start, a great education, and is put on a path to a great future. And I hope that the city of Emeryville will join us in what we're doing in Sacramento, because we spend $5 billion on prisons in this state, companies that profit off of the prison industrial complex. So we've introduced new legislation that taxes private prisons in the state of California and makes them give money to preschool programs so we can prevent kids from being incarcerated. And I can't wait till we get rid of all the private prisons. And we can talk about bail reform, but from my standpoint, we can't talk about black history without talking about the impacts that are currently being felt against African Americans. And this is not just an Emeryville thing. I venture to guess that this is a challenge that we must discuss statewide and nationwide. But when you look at disparities and trends that have impacted African Americans, I think we're seeing them in every single city in the Bay Area and in many cities in our state. And so tonight, I stand before you to give you a charge, and it's a charge that I accept from myself. Let us not repeat the history that has come before us. Let us not be witnesses and stand by while history repeats itself and impacts the lives of African Americans and Latinos and Asians and low-income families. Let us get involved. Let us say that not on our watch. Let us say that we will partner with whoever we can to stem the tide of displacement, for example, which we know is ravishing our communities here. We want newcomers and bencomers to be able to work together. But let us say that we will commit to supporting anyone who wants to live in this city or in my home city in Richmond or Oakland or Berkeley or LA or the Valley, wherever it is that you want to be, that we will support those who want to stay in the city. Emeryville is a special place. You know this. You have wonderful opportunities around biotech and healthcare and technology. There will be 1.5 million jobs in California in the fields of technology and coding in just a few years. But if things continue as they are now, nearly half of those jobs will go unfilled because we're not preparing a workforce for those jobs. Why not say that anybody who wants a job in coding can have a good paying job in coding? Now, I don't know how to program my cell phone, right? But my 15-year-old and my 11-year-old, they know that intuitively. I reach for the instructions to try and figure out how to work a new device. They snatch it out of my hand. They say, "Daddy, you don't need that. I'm going to show you how it works." My point is this: for Emeryville or for Oakland or for LA or for San Francisco, we should ensure that every young person, African American or other, has access to quality education from before the time they step into kindergarten to the time they graduate high school, until they go to college or they join an apprenticeship training program, whatever it is. We should ensure that. We should ensure that for adults who have been marginalized and pushed out of the workforce, that they can get on a pathway to working in technology. You don't need a degree to work in coding. It broke my heart. I've been teaching a course for young men who are incarcerated in a juvenile camp in this county. And we brought Apple into the program. All of the young people in the program are African American, Latino, Asian, all from low-income backgrounds, many from the Bay Area. Apple came in to do a workshop on coding, which we loved, which was great. But it hit me at one point, you shouldn't have to get incarcerated to learn about coding in the great state of California. And so let Emeryville be the leader for cities in our region, because you are a leader. Let Emeryville lead the way for other cities to say, we will address displacement, we will address poverty and homelessness, we will address job creation for people in our cities and in our region, and we will provide high-quality education in our cities. I know that you do. I know you fight hard for your students, because I've had the opportunity to meet some of your teachers, and some of them live near me, and they say, I know where you live, Thurman. I'll find you if you don't speak up for us. And I had the pleasure to serve. You've had some amazing leaders in the African-American community representing Emeryville, and you heard the mayor talk about our Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who needs no introduction, a champion worldwide, from the Board of Supervisors, Keith Carson, people who've really represented this community for many, many years. And then there are others who I've had the chance to serve with. Audrey Miles, who is a teacher here in Emeryville and teaches in early education and was a school board member for West Contra Costa. Or Miguel Duin, who served on the school board here and who worked regionally to help elect African-American leaders. He helped to elect the first African-American woman mayor in the city of Richmond, Irma Anderson. And he was a great partner to many of us. So many great stories about Emeryville. But as I say to you, I don't want us to let history repeat itself. I was, like you, I was devastated, and my children were devastated to hear Donald Trump talking about the Ku Klux Klan being good people. My daughters asked me, my 11-year-old asked me, how is it possible that people will wear hoods in broad daylight and be proud of those actions? I had no answers for her. What I'm saying is, things are happening around us that we can't stand by and be witness to. What I love about Emeryville, it is a diverse city. It is a progressive city. So why not let Emeryville be a leader for our region and our state in saying that we will help to push back these negative acts that we see, that we will work against poverty and homelessness and joblessness and equality education. Are you down to do that? Let me hear you say yeah. I know you are. I know you are, because unless my scorecard is wrong, Emeryville is the only city in the East Bay that has already passed, what do you call it, when workers want to know what their schedule is going to be, the fair work week schedule, right? My colleague, Diane Martinez, I know she was out there fighting people, and they said, why are you doing this? And she said, because we care about people being able to have dependable work hours. That is a progressive mark. And Emeryville, as far as I know, is one of the few cities, and I heard about the mayor doing work with the industry to help implement it in a way that it could be fair and equitable for all people and be responsive to the needs of industry. And so Emeryville is a leader. And I'm asking if we together can say that we won't be witnesses to history repeating itself, but we'll create new history for African Americans, for Asian Americans, for Latinos, for women, for Native American, for all people, and for all people in Emeryville in our region. If that's all right with you, let me hear you say yeah. Yeah. Let me hear you say, oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be obedient, because the mayor's like, get off that mic. He's sending me eye daggers. I'm gonna get off the mic and say that I love you, Emeryville. I love you for being willing to fight the good fight on behalf of all people. I want to thank the mayor and the city council and the city staff for this opportunity and for the great work that you've done and that we'll do together. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you for those remarks, Assemblymember Thurmond. And I want to build on something he said. He talked about not going back. He talked about learning the lessons from the past and making sure that we move forward. And in fact, the next segment in this evening's agenda is to recognize some people who are doing just that. So I'm going to ask 3 people to join me in the front row. Gwen Hardy. Would you please join me up here next to Councilmember Donahue? Nellie Mae Hannon. Yeah. Would you please join us in the front row over here by Councilmember Pats? Captain Randall West. Would you please join me in the front row next to Councilmember Martinez? Because Black History Month is not just about history in the past. It's also about today's heroes. And so what we wanted to do here in the city of Emeryville is recognize a few people who are making Black history today. So thanks to our totally fabulous clerk, we have several proclamations we'd like to read this evening to honor three people who have made a difference in our community. I'd like to begin by asking if Councilmember Donahue would join me up here. So I have the privilege of serving and representing the city of Emeryville on the Alameda County Healthy Homes Board. And in that capacity, I had the opportunity to meet a very lovely woman by the name of Gwen Hardy. And the thing I should disclaim before all this is none of the three people who I just asked to come up here knew they were coming here today to be recognized. They all thought they were coming here to just join us in celebrating this event. So I can see the apprehension in Gwen's face. And I promise you will not have to join me up here until I have finished reading. But I want to recognize each of the three of them for the contributions they have made to the people in the city of Emeryville. So we're going to begin with Ms. Hardy. And I debated this with the city clerk. Rather than say too much about each of these very credentialed individuals, I'm going to simply read the proclamation, and I'm going to ask you to join us up here to receive it and your flowers and some appreciation from the community. Whereas Gwen Hardy was born in Birmingham, Alabama, October 17th, 1942, and moved to Oakland, California as a teen, graduating from Oakland High in 1960, and entering Oakland City College, now Merritt College, that fall. And whereas in 1988, while both raising her children and caring for her disabled husband, Ms. Hardy was invited to a meeting of the Campaign for Accessible Healthcare, a project of the Center for Third World Organizing. And whereas in 1989, Mrs. Hardy volunteered for a local campaign to screen homes and children in low-income communities for lead hazards, and to improve translation services for non-English speaking patients at Highland Hospital, and to create a Patient's Bill of Rights. And whereas through the efforts of Mrs. Hardy and other community activists from Pueblo, which is People United for a Better Life in Oakland, the Alameda County Lead Poisoning Prevention Program was created in 1991, the nation's first multidisciplinary department that provides environmental and public health services for the abatement of lead hazards and the treatment of lead poisoning in children here in Alameda County, which Emeryville joined as a member in 1992. And whereas Mrs. Hardy is the only original member of Pueblo who remains actively involved with the organization's work, appearing at public hearings and rallies on behalf of marginalized communities across Alameda County, and whereas since 1992, Mrs. Hardy has served on the board of directors for the Healthy Homes Department as the community representative, where she serves as the conscience of the community, giving guidance and insights on the disproportionate impacts health policies have historically had on children and communities of color. And whereas while a member of Pueblo, Mrs. Hardy supported efforts to remove a medical waste facility from High Street in Oakland, to require Owens Brockway Glass in the Fruitvale to install filters on smokestacks, and worked on the campaign for community safety and police accountability that resulted in the creation of the Oakland Police Commission through the adoption of Oakland Measure LL. And whereas this year, Pueblo has announced it is establishing a scholarship endowment in the name of Gwen Hardy for her work as a founding member of Pueblo and her years of service as a former board member, which will support the continued education of former and present clients of Pueblo's youth programs. And whereas through Mrs. Hardy's efforts, thousands of families and children living here in the city of Emeryville have lived in a safer, healthier environment, making our community a safer, cleaner, and more livable place for us to all call home. And whereas Gwen Hardy, through her numerous acts of kindness and selflessness, on behalf of youth, low-income families, and especially communities of color, continues the legacy of leadership, resilience, and compassion that is emblematic of those we honor when we remember people during Black History Month. Now therefore be it resolved that during the celebration of Black History Month 2018, and on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Emeryville, the Mayor does hereby recognize Gwen Hardy for her service to the people of Emeryville and the years of tireless advocacy she has given to the benefit of thousands. Proclaimed this 6th day of February, 2018, by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Emeryville.
This is really a surprise.
Speak to the mic.
This is really a surprise. Director Border, this is how I addressed him when we in our meetings at the Alameda County Lead Poisoning Prevention Program, Healthy Homes. He asked me if I could come and attend a special program that he was putting together, not necessarily knowing that I was going to be a part of the program. I have been a part of Pueblo ever since its inception in 1989. And I always like to say, because I like to make it clear, almost 30 years now, every hour, every minute that I have given to Pueblo has been voluntary. I have never been on the payroll. It has given me a lot of pleasure to be able to do things to make things better for my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. You probably heard my little great-grandson over there when the choir was singing. He was enjoying that. I'm not gonna talk any longer because sometimes I can get carried away. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, who works for the city of Emeryville, she'll give me this. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, will you take this back to Chrissy for Okay, that was fun. Let's do some more of that. Next, I want to recognize somebody who is also helping youth, but instead of through environmental and other health interventions, is helping youth while also protecting the public. Captain Randall West of the Alameda County Fire Department. You ready for this? I just attended his Black History Month lecture about the history of black firefighters at EUSD yesterday, and I have the privilege of going to all of the events Captain Randall West puts together, so I know from the bottom of my heart that this document doesn't capture everything, but we're going to do our best. Whereas Randall West was born in Lake Charles, Louisiana on March 29, 1977, and graduated from McNeese State University in 2000 with a degree in business management. And whereas it was through his participation in Pi Beta Sigma fraternity that Captain West was introduced to the philosophy of brotherhood, service, and scholarship. And under these principles, he strives to actively make a difference in his community by being a positive role model and through dedicated service. And whereas Captain West moved to Oakland, California in 2002, and shortly thereafter began providing homework assistance at the East Oakland Youth Development Center, where he noticed the great need for more male African American mentors for young people. And whereas from the East Oakland Youth Development Center, Captain West transitioned to serving at the Family Violence Law Center, where he was a community educator for the Relationship Abuse Prevention Program. And in that capacity, taught teen domestic violence prevention to over 1,000 Oakland Unified students. And whereas Captain West began his career as a firefighter and paramedic with the Alameda County Fire Department March 1st, 2005, where he continued his mentorship and service to minority youth, and where he serves as a lead skills instructor for the Bay Area Youth EMT program, which is working to change the cultural landscape of Bay Area first responders by instructing inner city youth in EMT and firefighting curriculum. And whereas Captain West was assigned to Alameda County Fire Department Station 34 in the city of Emeryville in 2014 and began the Back to School Supply Drive, sponsored by the Alameda County Fire Department and the Alameda County Firefighters Association Local 55, which provides school supplies to underserved students throughout the school year. And whereas Captain West's efforts have delivered school supplies to hundreds of Emory Unified students in need, and he has been so successful that the program is now expanding to our surrounding communities. And whereas Captain West received the Luster Knight Award from the Alameda County Fire Department in 2017 for his commitment to community service. Whereas Captain Randall West, through his numerous acts of kindness and selflessness, on behalf of the Emeryville public, but especially its students, continues the legacy of leadership, resilience, and compassion that is emblematic of those we honor during Black History Month. Now, therefore, be it resolved that during the celebration of Black History Month 2018, and on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Emeryville, the Mayor does hereby recognize Captain Randall West for his service to our city, its residents, for his mentorship to our youth, and his commitment to our safety. Proclaim the 6th day of February 2018 by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Emeryville. Come on up.
Flowers. Really don't have a lot to say, but it's going to probably be a lot. But I want to thank everybody for recognizing me. Coming from Louisiana, came out of here in 2002 to build a relationship with my dad. And through that journey, I met a lot of people out here. I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, so Emeryville reminds me of where I grew up at, just the kids and everything. So the government cheese, food stamps she was talking about, I was part of that growing up. Becoming a firefighter wasn't an easy journey. I started with two of my sisters that are here today in paramedic school, Battalion Chief Diaz and Engineer Paula Vaughn. We was a team and we stuck with it. Got hired, met Chief Rocha, he didn't know me. When I walked to Station 4, which is Station 25 now, Chief Rocha, you opened up the doors for me and you gave me a chance. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate what you're doing for the department and helping diversify our department. This is for the firefighters who came before me. Molly Williams, who was a slave, who was actually the first female firefighter. To Battalion Chief Williams, Wesley Williams, from the New York Fire Department in the 1950s, where his first day of work, his captain retired because of how he looked. To the first female fire chief in Berkeley, Chief Debbie Pryor. To our first African and female firefighter that we hired in Alameda County Fire Department, firefighter probationary, firefighter Nadia Hill. These are for the people that I appreciate, and I do this for the youth because I do want them to see that all positive men and women that look like them that's making a difference in the community. Alameda County Fire Department, Local 55, I appreciate y'all. Mayor, council member, y'all backed me since day one. Didn't question me, y'all backed me. And to the teachers of Annie Yates, I appreciate you all. So, with that being said, I'm just gonna leave this, and few people might know what I'm talking about. All that I am, I owe. I will always live internally in the red. And chief is my belief. Not meaning that I have to be a fire chief of the fire department, but I have goals, and I want the youth to know, set your goals and strive high. You know, whatever you do, make sure you be the best and make it to the top. So thank y'all.
All right. We have one more. Ms. Hannon. She's already afraid. Don't be afraid. You've had this podium before. Nellie Mae Hannon was born in Austin, Texas on July 20th. We won't say the year. It is in the official proclamation, though. I did my homework on you. And moved to Emeryville in November of 1958, where she has lived for more than 59 years. And whereas Mrs. Hannon served as a member of the Emeryville City Council from 1983 to 1987. And whereas in August of 1985, Mrs. Hannon co-founded the Emeryville Community Action Program, later renamed the Emeryville Citizens Assistance Program, or ECAP for those who are local, a nonprofit organization operated exclusively by volunteers providing nutritional assistance to individuals and families, many of whom experience poverty and homelessness daily. And whereas in 2017, ECAP provided food and other basic needs to 230,124 individuals and 80,312 families from their location here in Emeryville. And whereas ECAP's services are made possible through the support and efforts of over 200 volunteers annually, 10 of whom have been volunteers for more than 20 years. And whereas in her earlier years, Mrs. Hannon completed Beautician College in 1958 and worked for many years as a cosmetologist before beginning a 16-year-long career with General Motors prior to her retirement in 1998. And whereas Mrs. Hannon was active as an Emeryville School District Parent Teachers Association member, served on a voluntary basis as the teacher's aide from 1970 to 1985, was a volunteer with Boy Scouts Troop 70, and is the mother of Emeryville's first 2 Eagle Scouts, including her son, Sergeant Joel Hannon of the Emeryville Police Department. Woo! And whereas, since ECAP's inception, Mrs. Hannon has devoted herself to community service by providing food, clothing, and household items to people in need across Alameda, Contra Costa, Solano, and San Francisco counties. And whereas Mrs. Hannon has spent over 30 years providing employment counseling and referral services to under and unemployed persons, services to formerly incarcerated people, Christmas dinner for the homeless on Christmas Day, school supplies to students in need, and more than 32 years of service providing housing referral services to low-income and homeless families. And whereas Nellie Mae Hannon, through her numerous acts of kindness and selflessness for those among us who are most in need, continues the legacy of leadership, resilience, and compassion that is emblematic of those we honor and remember during Black History Month. Now, therefore, be it resolved that during this celebration of Black History Month 2018, and on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Emeryville, the Mayor does hereby recognize Nellie Mae Hannon for her service to the City of Emeryville and its residents, and for the love and care she has bestowed upon thousands of lives that she has touched. Proclaim this 6th day of February 2018 by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Emeryville. Would you please join me?
I first give honor to God for blessing all of us to be here. It's because of His goodness that we have been on this road all these years. I'm just really grateful to all of you. A lot of the helpers are here, and I'm just really grateful for all of you. Thank you so much.
Can we have one more round of applause for our 3 honorees? So we are going to have, we're moving to the back half of the agenda, and I'm going to invite Reverend Wilson to come back up here. And I had the pleasure of hearing this song recently at choir practice, and so I'm looking forward to it.
And Mayor, choir practice still is on Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. There'll be a seat for you there, okay, in the tenor section. As the honorees were sharing, my mind was kind of rolling back a little bit about growing up in Oakland. And that statement was making that music being the life source of family. I think I need to call assembly person Thurman cousin, because mother migrated from Mississippi and the chapter in Detroit from slavery, coming down from North Carolina and the slave houses there. And when she migrated to California in the 1940s with the Great Migration and settled in the Oakland housing projects in Campbell Village, before she had a table or bed for our older sisters and brothers to sleep on, she bought a piano and she couldn't play it. But the songs that she and my grandmother, as our sister was sharing here, dragging her grandchildren with her great-grandchildren, grandma dragged me all over Oakland and would sing those old songs. They're both gone now, you know, but those songs remain in me. And sometimes my students at Cal, where I do a gospel choir, say, "Why don't I do something a little more modern?" But I think one of the goals is to these old songs take us back. They have different lyrics, come from a different time. And the songs that we shared, sometimes they sound like country western songs. And the reason that is because in the early populist movement, it's not like it is now, African Americans and poor whites actually shared politically. And so a lot of the music got crossed over, the spirituals being the first form of American music, combined with Appalachian moans and chants, labor songs of Joe Hill and the labor movement that were based on hymns that people sang in church. And this song teaches is arranged by a friend of mine who's also an African-American gay man like myself, whom the virus took away some years ago. And you never know who's in the community. Young people, when you see somebody walking down the street, you never know what kind of history they've created. But the song echoes a sentiment that Mom and Grandma taught us. Don't let anybody put you down for who you are. Oh, freedom, you're free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave. And you could put any other word in there, slave, whatever identity that you be impressed by. Before I be what you think put me down, I'll be buried in my grave and go home. So I'm going to be free no matter what. And again, let's give a round of applause for St. Columba. And also, again, for the pastor of St. Columba, who preaches a very inclusive message, so inclusive that he lets an African-American Baptist minister become the choir director in a Catholic congregation. Go figure.
Thank you. So we have one more person to present. And we've talked a little bit about Black history. Assemblymember Thurman gave us a lot of context to start this meeting, and we have had the pleasure of recognizing some people who are current day heroes in our community. And we're always looking towards our future. And our future looks bright. And we have a lot of promise here in Emeryville, and I'm grateful to the teachers and administrators at Emory Unified. They got a crash course lesson in, hey, we want to do an essay contest, and oh, it's at the same time as your finals. I've learned. But we asked students at Emory if they would be interested in writing a little bit about what Black History Month means to them, what they've learned. And I had the privilege of reading all those student essays and selected one. There were very large number of very good ones, and we are displaying them downstairs if you're interested. But we are very honored to have one of those students here today, Jasmine Roberts. And Jasmine is in the 6th grade, and I would like to invite Jasmine to come up here and read her essay. And I know she's nervous, so I know that you will all be on your best behavior. And warmly welcome Jasmine to the podium.
Why is Black History Month important to me? Black History Month is a time to celebrate the achievements and the contributions made by our fellow African Americans. Even though it's only known to be celebrated in the United States during the month of February, it is still an amazing month to celebrate. America has come so far with the help of different races. Why is this an important holiday to celebrate? It is very important because without the achievements and the contributions made by the help of African American people, we would not have common items like the refrigerator, dustpan, ironing board, and super soakers. All races wouldn't be able to be seen together if it wasn't for Martin Luther King Jr., the Black Panther Party, and many others. The United Kingdom even celebrates this magnificent holiday, but only in the month of October. The Germans were trying to add Black History Month since 1990 and are still trying to do so today. The whole history of why that month was chosen was because Black History Month began as African American History Week. The name was chosen by historian Carter G. Woodson in 1926. He chose the second week of February specifically because many important people's birthdays were in February, such as Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. Throughout Black History Month, many African American entrepreneurs are celebrated for their heroic achievements throughout history. One heroic entrepreneur was Marcus Garvey, born in 1877. Jamaican American Marcus Garvey was a public speaker for Black nationalism and the Pan-Africanism movement. Another African American entrepreneur who is celebrated through Black History Month was Frederick Douglass. He was an abolitionist, a public speaker, orator, social reformer, right, and statesman. One of my favorite entrepreneurs is the first Black woman astronaut, Mae C. Jemison. She was an American engineer, physician, and a NASA astronaut. She is still alive today and is currently 61 years old. This is why I care about Black History Month. It's a great time to celebrate those who fought for equal rights, to abolish slavery, and to help make America better.
She pulled a fast one on me. She was not nervous. Assemblymember Thurman, I think we have a future public speaker. Well, we had some proclamations for people earlier, but we had a couple things that we wanted to give Jasmine. So first, courtesy of a local donation, we have a book about Black History Month and freedom. And our friends at Bay Street in Emeryville have given Jasmine a $50 gift certificate to the AMC theaters with complimentary parking. And Jasmine's award-winning essay has a ribbon and is downstairs for you to see. So one more time, thank you, Jasmine. All right, so we're about to move to the last agenda item, but before we do that, you want to join me anyway? Yeah. So I had originally oriented this agenda so that each of my colleagues on council would have an opportunity to participate in this celebration. And you'll notice that Vice Mayor Ali Medina is up here, and she doesn't have any flowers to hold. And that was a tactical mistake. I'm going to take the blame for it, because this is off agenda. We're honoring a lot of people tonight, but sometimes we also need to thank somebody. And so I want to thank the clerk, Sherry Hartz. Come up here. When I told her I needed 4 bouquets, she said, "There's only 3 proclamations." She's too smart. I said, "I need one for Vice Mayor Medina. She's going to have a role in this too." She's like, "There's only 3 proclamations." When I originally sat down with the city manager and the city clerk, a couple months ago now, and I said that this was a very important event on the calendar, and I wanted to make sure the city celebrated it properly. We have amazing staff in the city, and they do a lot of work with a lot of demands, and sometimes not all the resources they need. But I believe that we should recognize people who go far, far above and beyond what we ever ask and expect of them. And to say that Sherry Hartz does that on a daily basis is not even giving justice to what she does for us. And so she has attended choir practice with me. She and I have picked out ribbon colors. We have sent proclamation drafts back and forth for weeks. All these beautiful floral arrangements were Sherry Hartz. She even sent me a video of her steaming the flag to get all the creases out of it. That is dedication. And so I wanted to make sure that we all took an opportunity, because this event really could not have happened and be what it is if it were not for the staff in the city, but especially if it were not for Sherry Hartz. So please join me in thanking Sherry Hartz. And like Jasmine, Sherry will also be going to the AMC theaters.
Free
All right.
parking too, though?
Free parking. But we know you're going to bike. So at this point, colleagues, if you would join me back at the dais for the last agenda item, we will consider a resolution, and then we'll have our final song. Sherry, do you have the resolution?
I do have it. I can.
Give me 1 second. Do you have it pulled up? You can just pop it. Thank you. Item 6.1 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville recognizing the significance of Black History Month and directing that the Pan-African flag be flown at City Hall for the month of February 2018. This was a public a publicly noticed meeting, and because it is a resolution, what I am going to ask perhaps the clerk to help me with is I didn't turn the podium around. Oh, thank you. So before I read the resolution, which is not something we normally do, but we will do this evening, this item is technically open for public comment, and I will award 1 minute so that we can move on with the agenda. 1 minute, so any person who wishes to speak now about this resolution or tonight's celebration is welcome to come up and have 1 minute of time at the microphone, and you're more than welcome to join us. Mr. Miller? We'll have Mr. Miller, and then we'll have Mr. Blair, I think.
My name is Bobby Miller. I'm a volunteer at ECAP. Black History Month to me is a time to inspire, to honor, and celebrate African American achievements and promote human kindness. I want to thank the council for honoring Nellie Hannon, the founder of ECAP. By doing so, council, you have made all of the volunteers at ECAP feel recognized, appreciated, and proud. The energy created by what you have done, council, due to your awareness of and the respect for ECAP's accomplishments, led by Nellie Hannon, will inspire all of us volunteers to promote more human kindness and do all that we can to make Emeryville a better place for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor. 8 months ago, he came to me and said that he had a vision for Black History Month. And he said that he wanted to honor Captain West. And I thought, what an amazing thing to do for the city, to go out and find the people in the city who give so much to this community, that are so selfless, who don't think about themselves at all, but think about the future and everybody else. I think that it was just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And for us from Local 55, we want to say thank you. And thank you for honoring one of our own who is a leader and a mentor to so many, and hopefully will usher in a new generation of firefighters that look exactly like our community and reflect everybody in the community, men, women, people of every color and creed. So thank you.
I'm Mary Malsby, and a volunteer and recipient of the services from ECAP. And I just have to say, most people can't even imagine what I call her Miss Hannah. I know her name is Hannon, but most people lovingly and affectionately call her Miss Hannah. She gets up in the morning, every morning at 5 o'clock. She drives to an empty, dark lot in Emeryville and parks her car and gets into a big, huge truck and goes to grocery stores all around the city to pick up supplies so that she can give them to the needy in this community and far beyond this community. She gets back into that truck and several times a day and goes and repeats that schedule throughout the day. Then she supervises the distribution of the food to hundreds of people. And can you envision yourself doing this? Lifting boxes and bales of food weighing sometimes as much as 50 minutes. At 80 years old, I simply admire this lady. I thank God for putting her in my path, and the organization that she's created. Thank you, council members, for supporting ECAP, because you have no idea how great of a job they do and the need within this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Brooks, Alameda County Healthy Homes Lead Poisoning Prevention Program. I'd like to thank the Honorable Mayor and City Council for putting this program together. This Black History Month celebration is really about American history and bringing us all together, and that's what you've done tonight. I also want to thank you for recognizing Joint Powers Authority director, and that is Gwen Hardy, for all of her contributions to lead poisoning prevention. We treat over 350 lead poisoned children a year in Alameda County. But just think about it, if not for her efforts and the efforts of Pueblo, People United for a Better Life in Oakland, we might never have had the Child Lead Poisoning Prevention District formed, and Emeryville's participation in that district to prevent child lead poisoning and to treat those who have been lead poisoned. So thank you for recognizing her contributions to our community.
Thank you, Larry. Hello.
So I work at Anna Yates Elementary, and Randall, Captain West, is a friend of mine. And I just want to say that I really appreciate you all acknowledging his efforts, along with every firefighter who's come out to support us, every teacher who's taken their time to go to the supply drive and get anything possible from the community. I thank the community for supporting us. Without your efforts, without reaching out, I know plenty of people, but you were the only one that reached out and said, hey, I want to help your kids. And by helping them, you've helped us so much. We reach in our pockets on a regular basis, trying to help our students. We love our babies. And the fact that you came and have done what you've done, you made such a great change in our lives as a family. You've made a great change for us. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you all for even acknowledging it, because sometimes I look at you and I say, oh, they're politicians. Well, today you showed me that you're more than that, and you actually care about what's happening in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, this is Nasser Azimi. I am new to Emeryville, as most of you know. And I'm very pleased to see that such an emphasis placed on celebrating Black History Month. I too am a product of government cheese in some respect. And in that context, I have 3 beautiful black children. And my job as a parent is to make sure that they are successful entrepreneurs and never subjected to that particular predicament. So I thank you for putting on such a great event. Really appreciate that. And I'll be sure to participate in future activities related to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nasser. Oh. It's on camera, Brenda. We all saw it.
Good evening, council members. My name is Brenda Collins, and I am your Emory Unified School District School Board Vice President. And I just want to go down a list and thank St. Columbia for being here. The choir, you ladies are beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I also can't think of 3 more rewarding honorees than Mrs. Hannon, Mrs. Hardy, and Captain West. Amazing people in our community. Jasmine Roberts, I just want you to know, Emory Unified School District, we're very proud of your accomplishments. I knew you before you were born, so it's kind of blowing my mind that you're the size that you are. I had your older sister, Olivia, and we're happy that you participated, and thank you so much for all your efforts, and you did an amazing job. And thank you for the program.
Thank you, Brenda. Lower that mic, buddy. There you go.
Hi, my name is Kaden. I would like to thank Miss Hannah for everything she's done for all the homeless people out there that need food to eat. And it would seem like she stops, but she never stops. She was driving around all the cities gathering food for kids like me in need. And in Christmas, she gets toys and blankets for kids that need help. I would like to thank Miss Hannah for everything she's done. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, buddy.
Speaking of hard acts to follow, I am Eddie Scruggs-Smith. I'm the middle school principal at Anna Yates. And I want to thank you for having us burn some calories and run around, having our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, all of our students participate, because it is important that we honor our ancestors and know that it took many of us to make this country great, and we stand on those shoulders. So I want to thank you for the opportunity for me to be a principal there and to work with so many amazing, great families and continue to help me as we raise our roses that are growing from concrete. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carpio, would you like to speak?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is André Carpio, and I'm a neighbor. I used to be a neighbor of Nellie Annan. And Nellie Annan, and she can admit, I've been her boyfriend ever since.
I'm not stopping the clock, Mr. Carpio. That 1 minute is running.
Nobody should be ashamed of that. This is something I needed to say, because everybody knows that it has been an underground affair, but now I make it public. So, if we talk about the black history, let me get to a little thing that is a sore point here in Emeryville, in which I have been pending for many, many years, pleading to have justice done for a man named Stephen Wesley. Stephen Wesley was booted out of the school district with the approval of the city council. He was booted out like an animal, like a chattel. And he didn't have a hearing. And a hearing is something that applies to black people as well as white people, as anybody. And so I've been waiting, I've been requesting that, and at the last bunch of city council, Nora Davis made the motion that she would not review that because the school district was not part of Emeryville. And which, I mean, I don't mind lying in public, but it's that the things stay like that. It's a little bit too much for me. So,
Mr. Carpio, your time is up. Can you finish up?
I'm not asking a miracle, but I'm asking simply that Steve Wesley's case be reviewed and that he gets a hearing, and I'll speak for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carpio. Any other members of the public who wish to speak? Last call. Okay. Thank you for that. So, not traditional that we read a resolution, but before I read the resolution, Reverend, do you want to explain how you wanted to do the last song so that, and you know what, I'm going to give you this because I don't need it.
You don't give a Baptist minister a microphone?
I have the remote ability to turn it off. I'm kidding. If you want to, yeah, before I read the resolution and we take a vote, I think it might be easiest if you just explain the last song and how you want to have people participate so everyone knows what we're doing.
In 1919, the NAACP took the song Lift Every Voice and Sing and proclaimed it as the African American national anthem. The song was written first as a poem by the great poet of the Harlem Renaissance, James Weldon Johnson, in 1900. He wrote it for the celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birthday, actually. And his brother, who was a music composer, the Johnson brothers, John Rosamond Johnson, took the poem and created the song Lift Every Voice and Sing. They performed, it was first performed by a children's school in Jacksonville, Florida, segregated school. And throughout the South with segregation, if anybody went to a segregated African American school or a black church, you had to learn the song by heart. Why did my mother, who integrated the Oakland Hills in 1966, drive us all the way back to 12th and Willow Street down to West Oakland, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, when we could have gone to church in the Oakland Hills? She took us back there because that was our Mecca. That was the land of the spirituality in West Oakland, and it was in those places where Sunday school teachers made us, as children, learn every verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing. The verses are important. The first verse, Lift Every Voice and Sing, is a call together for the community to lift their voices, to join together as one community. to sing a song of hope and liberty. The second verse is the history of the journey of African Americans. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day when hope unborn had died, the suffering. The final verse is sung very slowly, usually, because it's a prayer. Because after you've come together and you've gone through your struggles, and sometimes you think you're going to make it through the struggles, and sometimes you don't know if you're going to make it to the end, what do? Sometimes you just got to pray about it. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears. And you know you'll make it. So we're going to sing, lift our voice and sing in some traditions. There's some who lift their fist up, depending on what generation. If you came from 1960s Black Power generation, you put your fist up. If you came Civil Rights generation, it's this right here. I don't know what the Black Lives generation is right now. But whatever it is, you do your thing to it. And we'll join together, lift our voice and sing as the African American national anthem that is sung as a celebration, as a ceremonial celebration to lift up the African American history. And again, thank you so much for having this music. And the words are on the back of the program. Again, memorize them though, so you don't have to use no words. That's okay.
And so my understanding, Reverend, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're going to read this, we're going to take our vote out, and then you are going to have the choir sing the first verse here, and we are actually going to process downstairs to the second verse, and then we are going to sing the third verse as we hopefully vote to hang the flag. And the flag is right here. And would Eva Hornsby please stand up? I'd like to recognize Eva, who is a Navy nurse, Captain U.S. Army 06 Navy, yes, who served in Vietnam. And when And after we have adopted a resolution, perhaps, I'm going to present this to you. And where is Sergeant Joel Hannon, Nellie's son? Come on up here. Be recognized. The choir will sing the first verse here, and Ava and Joel will carry the flag down, and they will lead us out. And then I would ask that the choir be allowed to follow them. And after the choir has followed them, I would ask that all the members of the public who are here who wish to witness the hanging of the flag follow the choir. And the city council and staff, we will go last. And once we've all situated, please use the sidewalk. The wires to the speakers are on the grass, I've been told. So please stay on the sidewalk, and you'll walk out the front steps and go to the left towards the corner. We will congregate down there after we've all assembled, and we will hang the flag, and at that point I will explain where refreshments are. So I'm going to at this time read a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville recognizing the significance of Black History Month and directing that the Pan-African flag be flown at City Hall for the month of February 2018. Whereas the theme of Black History Month for 2018 is African Americans in Time of War, to commemorate the centennial of the end of the First War in 1918, and to provide a broad, useful framework for focusing on the roles of African Americans in every American war, from the Revolutionary War era to that of the present war against terrorism. And whereas this theme gives an opportunity to consider the specific and unique issues faced by African Americans in times both of war and of peace, including opportunities for advancement and repression of opportunities, the impact of migration and urban development, educational opportunities, healthcare development, the roles of civil rights and Black liberation organizations, the roles of African American businesses, women, religious institutions, and the Black press, and how Black soldiers and veterans are documented and memorialized in history and within public and private spaces. Diverse stories that reveal war's impact not only on men and women in uniform, but on the larger African American community. And whereas the first Africans were brought against their will to the shores of the Americas as early as the 17th century, and these Africans in America and their descendants are now known as African Americans, and whereas African Americans suffered enslavement and subsequently faced the injustices of lynch mobs, segregation, and denial of basic fundamental rights. And whereas even after emancipation, African Americans have been subjected to institutionalized racism in various forms, including the Black Codes, Jim Crow laws, and redlining, among others. And whereas despite slavery and the disparities in education, poverty, and the criminal justice system, African Americans in all walks of life have made far-reaching contributions throughout the history of the United States in their work as civil rights leaders, politicians, activists, clergy, social reformers, educators, architects, poets and authors, entrepreneurs, inventors, scientists, artists, filmmakers, athletes, and entertainers, among others. And whereas in the face of injustice, United States citizens of goodwill and of all races have distinguished themselves with the commitment to the noble ideas upon which the United States was founded and courageously fought for the rights and freedoms of African Americans. And whereas the month of February is officially celebrated as Black History Month, which dates back to 1926 when Dr. Carter G. Woodson set aside a special period of time in February to recognize the heritage and achievement of Black Americans. And whereas in 1920 Marcus Garvey created the Pan-African flag in response to a popular racist song called Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon, and the United Negro Improvement Association adopted the flag as the universal symbol of Black liberation August 13th, 1920. And whereas the red in the flag stands for the blood shed by Africans in their fight for liberation, the black in the flag stands for the people of the African race, and the green stands for the fertility, productivity, and beauty of the African continent. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Emeryville hereby recognizes and honors February as Black History Month, and be it further resolved that the City Council directs that the Pan-African flag be flown at City Hall and in accordance with the United States Flag Code for the entire month of February 2018, adopted by the City Council of the City of Emeryville at a regular meeting held Tuesday, February 6, 2016 by a vote. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion by Member Pats and a second by Vice Mayor Medina to approve the resolution and hang the flag. Before we take a vote, I will invite my colleagues to make any final comments. I'll start with Member Donahue.
Our nation wouldn't be what it is if it weren't for the African American contribution to our culture especially. And it's just significant that culture in the United States has traveled around the world and been celebrated around the world. And we owe that a lot to our African American fellow peoples, and it's a significant part of world culture.
Thank you, Member Martinez.
Mayor, I want to thank you for this celebration, for putting this all together. I think this is a spectacular way to show our appreciation for the community, and thank you for acknowledging that racism exists still today. And we really need to acknowledge that and use that as the lens for making good policy in this city. So thank you for your leadership.
Member Pats.
So I'm going to quote Charles E. Cobb Jr. and tie it into this evening. And his quote was, "The way the public understands the civil rights movement can be boiled down to one sentence. Rosa sat down, Martin stood up, and then white folks saw the light and saved the day." And if you see here today, that's not how it happened. It's the hard work of the women standing right in front of me. It's the hard work of mothers. I kept hearing that time and time again. It's the hard work of the teachers and administrators at Anna Yates. It's the hard work of the police officers and firefighter we recognized today. It's the hard work of the African American community. It's not white people standing out of the way. Number 45 has shown us that they're not out of the way yet. And so, to me, it's not this paternalistic, we honor in 1 month. It's the idea we got to get out of the way. And so I want to thank you guys today for the work that you have to do, unfortunately, still again tomorrow. And to Jasmine, that's the path forward. So thank you guys. Yeah. And that's my comment. Thank you, Mayor Bowdy.
Thank you, Member Pats. Vice Mayor Medina.
I'd like to thank all of the leaders in our community for coming out today, for giving us even more of your time and effort. And I see this not just as an opportunity for us to honor Black History Month, but to affirm and to be held accountable to continue our work in addressing these structural wrongs. And thank you so much for all of your time, and we hope that we can hold up to this standard.
And I just want to thank every member of the public who came today. I want to thank Assemblymember Thurman for his time this evening. I want to give special thanks to the lovely women from the choir. I'm really grateful for you giving the gift of your voice to all of us this evening. And to Reverend Wilson for your partnership on this. I want to thank all my colleagues on council for being so supportive of something like this. And you know, we've said most of the things we need to say. Racism is real. Racism is wrong. And we need to lead locally right now. And so when people seek to divide, we will unite. And thank you all for being united behind this very important celebration. And with that, Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Member Pats and a second from Vice Mayor Medina to approve the resolution. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Councilmember Pats?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina?
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. The resolution is approved. The flag will be hung. I have, for each of my colleagues, as a token of appreciation, a little pin for each of you. Now that we've passed the resolution, I didn't want to hedge any bets, so I'll pass those down there. Reverend Wilson, please lead us in the anthem.
We all stand and lift every voice and sing.
by thy might, let us into the light. Keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our name.
Now it's on. So thank you, Sergeant Hannon and Ms. Hornsby, for hanging the flag. And thank you again to everybody who came out this evening to celebrate Black History Month 2018 with the City of Emeryville and the City Council. Albert Rapola from Ruby's Cafe has generously donated cookies and brownies. And if you were to take the sidewalk past the next palm tree and go to the right, the garden level link has refreshments there for everybody. And I'm just grateful to everybody, especially, can we one more time thank St. Columba's Catholic Church Choir? Grateful to everybody who came out this evening. Thank you for showing a symbol of unity in our city at a time when it's very greatly needed in our nation. And with that, we will adjourn for refreshments, and the City Council meeting will begin when we're ready. How about that? Have a good night.